I think we need to be more flexible. We need to be thinking outside the box of what is it going to take for us as a city to help a business get started or get into an area so that so they can start producing. But I'm looking at flexibility and I'm looking at partnership.
Thank you. And Don, what do you think City Council can do to encourage redevelopment in the older areas?
Well, I'm going to tell you, getting out of the way sounds good, except it didn't work. Take a look at Ridgewood now. We got out of the way and see what we got. And I got to say that I bear a little responsibility for that because I've been on council the last 6 years. And yes, we've tried some things. It just simply hasn't been enough. Getting out of the way doesn't work when you don't have what you need in place to let it happen. You got to set the tone. Maybe it's appearance standards. Maybe it is zoning changes. I hear from a lot of people down there, why do we have car lot zone for this part of the city? So maybe we do need some zoning changes. We need to take a look and see what's worked in other part of the cities and try to implement it down there. And it's not the easiest thing in the world to do because a lot of things have been grandfathered in when that part of the city was annexed in. So we've got a number of challenges, legal and otherwise, to doing those things. So you can look at incentives. We can review zoning. But the number one thing that we can do as a city to set the tone and make sure the neighborhoods don't slide anymore so that they can be inviting to business down in Ridgewood is code enforcement. It's something I think that we've got 4 code officers for the entire city. One of the things that we did right was add a code manager so that we can get our code officers out on the street more. But this is a large city for 4 code officers, and a lot of the things they do are strictly by complaint. They respond to complaints all day, so it's hard for them to patrol and be proactive in parts of that city where we need that. So absolutely, we've got tools right now, and code enforcement is one of them. We need to do that to get that part of the city cleaned up for the residents who live there now who deserve it, and that's something that I promise that I'm going to work on and push even harder for them. So we can set the tone, improve the appearance down there, and then be more inviting for business as we move forward.
Thank you. Lance, this one's for you. What infrastructure improvements do you think need to be made in Port Orange? And what steps would you take now to ensure the city can support the current continued growth?
Read that to me one more time.
What infrastructure improvements do you think need to be made in Port Orange? And what steps would you take now to ensure that the city can support the continued growth?
I think the biggest thing that we face right now as far as our infrastructure is our drainage. To making sure that we continue to address the drainage issues and the drainage problems that continue to evolve in our areas. You know, the Halifax Canal is one of our major outlets as far as our drainage for Port Orange, and what happens is it accepts all the water from the north. So we continue to have to address the needs of drainage when we're taking another city's water. So as far as being able to afford it, we need to continue to do the things that we put in place as far as the buying of the land to create the storage for the water. We need to take a look at possibly even purchasing of land somewhere up in the Madeline Avenue area to be able to create a pond up in that way to stop all the water that flows down through Port Orange that continues to flood down Lawton. So as far as infrastructure goes, I think the biggest thing for me is going to be the drainage and keeping in place the things that we've budgeted for to continue to be proactive in our drainage areas.
Thank you. Don?
Lance hit some of what's important. I can tell he's done his homework because a lot of our problem with flooding in the lower part of the city in the inner city area is because we're getting more water funneled because of projects that have happened upstream. And we've looked at some things that we need to do upstream. So we need to work with our city partners and the water compact to take a look at solutions there. So some of the solutions go beyond simply what we can do as a city. These are things that need to be done at the county, state, and even federal level. I've got to hand it to Fred Costello for getting us all together and getting a conversation started last year along those things. Infrastructure is important so that we don't go backwards. We saw what happened Years past with water meters, we did things on the cheap. We replaced them when we had to, instead of having a continuous program of replacement. And we've had to invest heavily to get caught up on that. We can't go backwards on things like that by trying to do things on the cheap. And certainly, I think we go down to Ridgewood Avenue again. In the 1950s, 60s, and 70s, and even in the early 80s, some of those motels that we've had down there were very nice stopovers that worked well in a different time, in a different era. And you go down to the Keys and you see places like that, it's almost like a throwback. It's not that way now. The city has acquired a couple of those motels, and we need to look for purposes like drainage and the like, so that off-site drainage can be taken care of so businesses can expand down there, so that these hotels down there and these little motels don't become dens of iniquity like some of them have become. They attract some of the worst of the worst. And I'm not saying that people on a lower income level shouldn't have a place to live. They absolutely can. We can work with that. But what we don't want to see is people with constant drug problems, constant crime problems, people who are pedophiles and the like, who are registered sex offenders, ended up living in these things. So, and they live together there in communities, and we need to break that up. We can take those properties and repurpose them.
Thank you, Don. Ted?
Yes.
Infrastructure.
Please read the question.
What infrastructure improvements do you think need to be made in Port Orange, and what steps would you take to ensure that the city can support the current continued growth?
The only infrastructure need that I'm aware of at this point in time would be transportation. Dunlawton is a fright. Dunlawton has to be corrected, or growth is going to come to a stop here because traffic won't be able to move. So clearly we need to do all we can to alleviate the Dunlawton problem. Maybe the Yorktown extension north should be completed, and then the longer stacking and turning lanes to the extent they can help. But beyond that, we ultimately need to start thinking about another east-west corridor in this city, likely a patterning following Madeline. Now, let me just say a couple of other things, though. I'm not impressed with discussions that someone started last year. A discussion? This is what government, this is what's wrong with government. Government measures discussions as some type of improvement. Flexible, be a partner. The problems we got on Dunlawton are exactly because of our flexibility. If we'd had proper zoning on Dunlawton, we'd have never got the development, the intense development that we did. And in terms of helping a business, well, let me tell you, before we can help a business, we've got to take money away from another business. Now, Mike, how would you feel about helping someone get into the blind business? Come on, we'll just tax it a little bit more to give to someone. Tom, you're in the computer business. How much help do you want to give a competitor, government give a competitor, to get into that? And Mark, I don't know if you're still in public accounting or not, but how about a nice subsidy for someone who wants to open a public accounting office? How do you feel about that? This is all nonsense, is what it comes down to. This is not the role of government. This is the role of the private sector. Government is there to protect our rights. That's what they need to focus on. All of these other issues that people have brought to government, it's because it suits them. They feed off government. And that's not how I see it.
Thank you. This next question will go to Don first. Don, what do you think about the Pioneer Trail interchange, considering the continuing development occurring west of I-95?
That's something that I've kind of done an entire 180 on since I've been on council. There are some parts of that area down there that are very beautiful in the Doris Leeper Preserve. I don't think that moving west, there is heavy, intense development down there already. The Pioneer I-95 interchange would help tremendously, taking all those subdivisions that have to funnel up Williamson, funnel down Dunlawton into the interstate to get out. We've got more than we need another thoroughfare. Being able to access the interstate to go north-south. And not just a Pioneer, but business development. If you had grocery store in that area, like a Publix or a Winn-Dixie or something like that, you don't have people going to Dunlawton to do all your shopping. You take more cars off by decentralizing the need to go down there. But yeah, I am for an interchange down there, and I think it would help dramatically with traffic flow on Dunlawton if we did.
Thank you. Ted?
Progress is going to happen. No matter what we do, we're going to have progress. Our population is growing, and that's going to drive progress. That's why we have the problems we do on US 1. US 1 has been left behind, and there's maybe some things we can do, like encouraging ALFs down there. But beyond that, the notion that we're going to have US 1 ever equal NOVA is not going to happen. The traffic patterns, they're just not there. Now, the interchange at Pioneer is going to happen. And by the time it happens, I don't think you're going to find anybody who's going to be opposed to it, because Dunlawton will even be a bigger nightmare than it is today. So yeah, the interchange at Pioneer is going to happen, should happen, and will likely provide relief to Port Orange for those people who want to hop on the interstate down there.
Thank you. Lance? Same question. You want me to repeat it? Sure. What do you think about the Pioneer Trail interchange, considering the continuing development occurring west of I-95?
And I think it's a good subject, Ray. It's again, the main issue obviously is going to be the east-west. The main issue is going to be getting away from going under I-95. I don't believe that, in my opinion, without doing a little more research, that there's enough space to do an actual full on-ramp, off-ramp type of scenario down there. I think that if it could be achieved to just at least have off-ramps at that area, would be a tremendous benefit to the West Side residents. I don't believe that there's the space there. This is what's been going the ongoing battle with the state, and why it's been on and off the long-range plan, because the room is not there. On the other side, I think it'll have a huge impact on the residents of the Pioneer Trail area. It is a country, farming, backwoods kind of area. So for us to say, okay, we want to stuff an interchange down in somebody else's territory, I don't really think is the right model to go after. But if we could have an off-ramp so that Port Orange residents could, if they were coming south on 95 or whatever, they could go around the I-95 or stop going down under 95 to the next stop, would be a benefit. But I don't know that there's the land for the actual interchange.
Thank you. Okay, I'm going to make this last question two-part. I think it won't be difficult. And then, do you mind being first one more time, Ted?
No.
Good. I didn't think you would. And then we'll allow everybody to give a final closing.
Maybe there's several people here with the name Ted. You think maybe that's the problem?
Maybe. Ted, tell us, what do you think makes Port Orange unique, and what do you think we could have that would help it make us a more quality community? What makes us unique? What would make us a more quality community?
I've lived in Port Orange for 26 years, and I live here by choice. And I live here because this town has got a good balance of those things that I want to pull out of it. The people in Port Orange are extremely friendly. People that I met in the sports stands 26 years ago are still friends to this day. And boy, I treasure that. That is most important. In terms of what we can do more, once again, we're getting back into this government thing here again. I don't want the government doing anything, but the people themselves should absolutely be proud, and whatever they want to do is what I want to do. One thing I will say, the east side of the city has one sports complex, and by God, that was probably the first set of grandstands I ever climbed up to here in Port Orange. They're shut down at present, and I don't like that. I would dearly love to see White's Field back in service again as a, not going to happen, no, I said, we'll see about that. But that's it. The people itself are the real treasure here in Port Orange for me. They're a law-abiding, God-fearing group at best, and they should be proud of it. I certainly am.
Thank you. Lance, what do you think makes Port Orange unique, and what is it that would help make us a more quality community?
as the old saying goes, Port Orange is unique by choice. And what makes Port Orange unique is, to me, it dates back to the leadership. The visions that our leaders have had for Port Orange for a long, long time. With that leadership has brought quality people to our area, which now makes the people very unique. We have some of the best residents in the area. We bring a quality residential area that people want to move to. So when it comes down to why is Port Orange unique, it's its people. It's the residents and the caring people that live in our community that make it what it is.
Thank you. And Don?
You're not going to repeat it for me, right?
I will.
Okay.
Don, what do you think makes Port Orange unique, and what could we have that would help it be a more quality community?
Thank you, Ray. Honestly, I without a doubt have to say, like my opponents, that the people of this city and the quality of the people in it make it more than unique. Sometimes I think we're victims of our own success because it is such a wonderful place. People want to move here. They want to live here. They want to raise their families here. They want to retire here. And because we're a desirable place to live, victim of our own success, we've exploded in population. So now we've got to be able to manage those things so that we can maintain the culture of this city and maintain the quality of life for the residents who live here now. And we know there are going to be more people coming because I think the secret about Port Orange is out. There's no doubt about it. We're a desirable place to live. And we can't, and there's nothing to complain about that. What we need to do as a government is put policies in place that protect our citizens, provide the services they need, make sure that we maintain public safety at the highest levels so we can keep our rating as what recently we were rated the 7th safest city in the state of Florida. When people don't have to worry about safety and security needs, they can go out and enjoy their neighbors, they can go out and enjoy their friends, and they can go out and enjoy the community and the many festivals and the things that we have going on here. And I think that we will continue to be the place that is unique and desirable and wonderful to live in because of the culture and the people who live here.
Thank you. That's really all the time we have for questions. What I want to do now is I want to give each of you gentlemen an opportunity for a 2-minute wrap-up to give us some closing remarks and tell us why you should be elected the next mayor of Port Orange. In keeping with our order, we'll start with Lance.
Well, thank you, Ray. I'm not a politician, I'm not a public speaker. What I am is somebody who's lived in Port Orange my whole life and I just care. What I want to do is I want to bring my leadership because I care. I want to provide as a leader of our city more than basic service like my opponent wants to provide you. I want to provide the services that our city has provided as we grow with our parks, with our recreation, with our police and our water. But I'm going to provide more than just basic service. We are not a basic city. So with that being said, like I said, I'm not a public speaker, I'm not a politician, I'm somebody who comes up here because I care, and I care about where our city goes. Thank you.
Thank you. Don?
First of all, I want to thank the Port Orange South Daytona Chamber of Commerce for sponsoring this evening, and I think it's important that we have forums like this because I think an electorate that is more informed and knows the candidates and has the opportunity to hear from all of us, especially at one time like this, you tend to make better decisions. Nobody needs to tell you how to vote. I trust the voters of Port Orange to make good decisions, and certainly forums like this help you to do that. I think this is a great city. This is a city of great promise. We've seen that over the years. Being named the 7th safest city in Florida, I take great pride in that. And it starts with public safety, but goes well beyond that. It's the citizens of the city, the things that they do, the things that we have. There'd be family days, would it be parks and rec, the programs that we have, people getting out, whether it be people utilizing trails, just simply walking their neighborhoods. There's a lot of things that people take advantage of, and The responsibility of a mayor in this city to work with his council, to be in touch with the citizens, their wants, their needs, the things that make the city a quality place to live, well beyond just providing basic services, which are vital, but that's where you start, so that we can make this, culturally speaking, 10 years from now, exactly the way it is now, a place where people want to be. I think it's important that your next mayor be open and honest with you. I think that I have. Me and my wife made a decision 20 years ago to move to Port Orange, buy a house here, and raise our kids here for a reason, and we don't regret it for one day. And because of the things that the city is, I want to help look forward. I think it's important to have a vision 10, 20 years out. I think it's important that the leader of the council work with his council so that we can make good decisions and come to a consensus about what it takes to have a quality city. We do, whether it be the VIPs, or whether it be its citizens or its volunteers, Parks and Rec. This is a wonderful place to live. And I hope to earn your vote on August 30th so that I can continue to play my part in making sure that Port Orange stays the wonderful place that it is.
Thank you. Ted.
Like my two opponents, I have lived in Port Orange a long time, 26 years. My children grew up here. They graduated from high school here. My businesses are located here. I have a vested interest in seeing Port Orange prosper and its residents be happy. But that's where all similarity between me and my opponent ends. They are status quo candidates. They have zero intention of changing anything here in Port Orange. I am very much a reform candidate. I do not believe, accept, or support the secrecy, the incompetence, and the tax and spend mentality that we have in Port Orange. And if you doubt that tax and spend mentality, look at the 9.1% tax increase that they have gotten us to. Port Orange is indeed a great place to live, but not because of how much of your money they are willing to spend. That's not what makes Port Orange a great place. I'm sorry, I can't believe that for a moment. So ladies and gentlemen, I believe you all deserve a government as good as you are. If you believe that also, I would ask for your support on August 30th. Thank you so much for coming out here tonight.
Thank you. Gentlemen, I want to thank each one of you for being out here tonight, for sharing your ideas and your thoughts and your visions with us. I want to thank the community for your attendance, for your willingness to participate and showing your interest in the future of our beloved city. That concludes this evening's forum, and everybody have a safe trip home and have a good evening. Thank you.